Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the Bitcoin miners. And yeah, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin. So with that being said, let's get it. All right. So I think one of two things are going to happen here with Bitcoin. Either Bitcoin is going to continue to go up because usually we get at least 4 to 8 weeks of upside during the parabolic phase before any substantial pullback. And um, I wouldn't really foresee Bitcoin having a major pullback until maybe like I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe like January or April or something like that. But even January is usually pretty bullish for Bitcoin. So I'm not really expecting any kind of peak on Bitcoin until maybe like March, April, May, somewhere in there next year. So either that's going to happen. Okay. So it'll go up, maybe pull back at some point, or it'll go up and just keep going up, or maybe it goes up and chops sideways. We get the alt season and then it keeps going up from there. So that's kind of what I am expecting for Bitcoin. But that's not why we're here today. We're here to talk about the miners. Just so you guys know, channel memberships are available. If you want to get them, you can. If not, you don't have to. It's entirely optional. It's $25 a month. You would just have to hit the join button below the video. If you are not subscribed and you are new here, I would suggest maybe consider subscribing because, again, you would not want to miss out on this timely content. We do cover a massive array of different markets and all kinds of different stuff on this channel. So, futures, forex, precious metals, options, stocks, macroeconomics. We cover the dollar index. We cover inverse correlations, dividend ETFs, the works. So if you guys have not subscribed, consider subscribing. We do cover this kind of stuff. All right, so we'll start with the golden child here, Mara. Everybody seems to love this one. I mean, it looks pretty bullish. We are getting a pullback from the zone. Could it go higher? Absolutely. So it seems it just had earnings, but the market didn't care because, again, like I told you guys before, um, yeah, maybe the earnings kind of play a factor into it. Sure. I'm always willing to consider that. That's how Wall Street operates. They want cash flow positive companies, companies that have GAAP profitable earnings. They want companies that are making money, that are going to continue making money in the future. That's understandable. But I think the more important thing to consider here is that during the last earnings season, the Bitcoin miners were not in profit and they kind of had a little dumpito. Okay. So you guys are probably wondering, well, why the hell is that? Well, simply put, because Bitcoin was doing nothing for these 6 months here. Okay. March to September, nothing, pretty much low. At some point, there's, again, I would have to do a little research and figure out exactly how this is calculated because I'm not like intimately familiar with the miners. We do trade them, but we don't know like every single facet of the miners. Okay. But there's a certain price threshold where if it's lower than that threshold, the Bitcoiners are not making, or the Bitcoin miners are unprofitable. Okay. And there's a certain level where they're above that threshold, they're profitable. And that eventually shows up in their earnings. So basically, what I'm saying here is Bitcoin started to hit profit in September, October timeframe. So what does this mean for Q4? Q4 earnings probably going to be profitable for all, if most, if not all of these miners. Okay, I don't know if they're going to have earnings in Q4. I would assume they would, but the only one that I know that's on the docket to actually have earnings, according to TradingView, this could always change, of course, would be CLSK. That'd be next month. I'm pretty sure they're going to have a beat. Okay, so I mean, you had plenty of time to get in here. If you didn't get in here, maybe you could wait for some kind of pullback into the EMAs. The EMAs are still sitting at support, so anything could be possible here. 18 to 20 would be support for this one. I'd be looking for targets anywhere from 29 going all the way out to, let's say maybe they top out in January, February, somewhere in there, maybe $60 is where this thing tops out. Of course, it could always go higher. I mean, the cycle top for Mara, the last cycle was $80, I think. So potentially around a 240, 250% gain here. Riot, happy holidays, by the way, Thanksgiving. By the time you guys see this, it will be Thanksgiving, I believe. Yes, tomorrow is Thursday. Yeah, so happy Thanksgiving. Just wanted to let you guys know that, happy Turkey Day, all that stuff. So Riot, this one is a little bit cheaper in my opinion. It hasn't really like really, really rocketed to the upside. Mara's up about $8 off the EMAs, which is huge. Riot's only up a couple bucks, so this one, in my opinion, is still very cheap. I'd be looking at kind of around 10 to 11 bucks as a potential buy area. It could go lower, of course, that could always happen. But at this point in the cycle, I highly doubt it. So 1860 to 21 for targets. The all-time high for Riot was up in the 80s, just so y'all know, 106% gain. The indicators down here are pretty bullish. CLSK, so we are on a flip zone right now. This was resistance, then it turned into support, then resistance, and now we are back at support. At this point in the cycle, I'd say these things are likely probably going to go higher. I would not be surprised. How exactly that happens and in what time frame it happens, that's really difficult to say, but you can see we're kind of holding here, and then theoretically this should go higher, right? That's the idea anyways. So on the weekly indicators here, everything looks very bullish. We are getting this, as of right now, we're getting this triple golden cross on the EMAs. That's always a good sign. What happens when that happens? Usually this thing lifts. Okay, it goes up, as you guys can see on Mara. So as of right now, I'd still say CLSK is very, very cheap. We actually have been loading the boat in this entire green zone right here. So I'm going to show you guys that right now. So we have 825 shares at an average price of, I believe, 1663 or 64, something like that. My bad, 1661. So yeah, our target on this is going to be right around 2350, because that's where it topped out last time. It probably will go higher, but we're going to set it at 2350. So in this case, we would make, it's about $7 per share, so about $5,600 in profit. Now, in the event that CLSK does kind of pull back down to somewhere between 9 to 11, we're probably going to buy even more. But if I'm being completely honest, at this point, I don't think that's going to happen. Okay. The reason why I say this is, simply put, because again, I've told you guys this literally time immemorial. Okay. When you get an accumulation block, which I think this is, because again, this is at the bottom of a swing low, which is usually when accumulation happens, whereas distribution happens at a swing high. It's not so obvious, but it's literally right there. Okay. So yeah, either it comes down to 9 to 11, we buy more, or it just simply goes up and we hold. That's kind of the thesis here. But buy zone is going to be 1235 to 14. Targets could be anywhere from 20, I'd say about 2150, and we'd be looking all the way out to about, it's hard to say exactly when these are going to top out, but if it's anything like last cycle, maybe about January, February, so kind of in that $40 area, 40, 45, somewhere in there. Could be as high as potentially 225% gain on this one. HUD 8, this thing has just gone stupid. It's actually even more bullish than Mara, which is pretty crazy. Kind of wish we had held our shares from down at the bottom, looking back. But, you know, hindsight's always 2020, right? We're not perfect either. It's getting a little overbought here, a little expensive, so I'd be waiting for a pullback somewhere between 1730 to 20, or 22, I should say. 2740 to 33 would still be the targets here. 88% move, and of course you can always do options on these, cover calls, cash secured puts, that kind of thing, but the previous all-time high, the ultimate target, would be up here at 84. Cipher, this one does actually look like it wants to lift. Nice little double tweezer bottom, as we call it here. That's a very bullish sign. But if for whatever reason there is a pullback, I'd be looking to buy in this green box, so 5 to 550. You guys can do what you want, of course. So 10 to 10.5 as the targets up here. About 107% move. And the all-time high is at 1550. So, of course, it could always go past that. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what Trump wants to do when he gets inaugurated with the miners and the national stockpile and all that stuff. Okay, so btbt, this thing could be ready to break out of this resistance zone, but because it has not confirmed above it, I would still be cautious personally. I'd be looking for a pullback to about 316 to 350, somewhere in there. And if I was going to trade this, again, this is just how I would do it. You guys can do what you want to, okay? So my sights would be set on this 1220 to 1450 area. That's kind of how I would play this for a potential 367% gain. The all-time high is at 33. So, I mean, you're still looking at least an 8, maybe a 9x on this, even from current prices. You could also just say, well, I think it's going to hold, and I think it's going to go out of here to the upside. So you could just treat this as a support zone before it flips. But that would be an assumption trade versus a confirmation trade. We like to do confirmations, but you guys, of course, can do what you want. Macro support down here between 150 to $2. I don't think btbt is going to get back to those levels before the next bear market in 2026. bitf, this one is a good buy in my opinion. Again, not financial advice, but it's kind of just sitting there going sideways, preferably in accumulation. I have a hard time believing this would be distribution. That's just my opinion, because again, it hasn't really lifted like really heavily to the upside yet. This is still sitting pretty low. So that buy zone is going to be 190 to 235. Targets would be anywhere from $3 to $4. Nice little 2x. Not bad, right? 105% gain here. We also do have some green on the histogram. Nice little golden cross there as well. Do keep in mind the all-time high for this thing was at $10. So you're looking at still easily a 5x from this point just to get back to all-time highs. Iren, so this thing, it looks like it did have earnings. I mean, that's what TradingView is saying. So it was a mixed bag here. Earnings were short, but the revenue was good. So yeah, maybe the market just pumped this thing off of that news, or maybe they know the. And you guys got to understand, Wall Street looks forward in time. Okay, they're not looking at things right now. They're looking at what can you give me in the future that provides value that would convince me to want to buy this today. That's how these guys think. Okay, smart money, whales, institutions, guys with millions and billions of dollars, they think like this. Okay, I told you before, they think in terms of months and years, not days. So they're looking at these earnings thinking, okay, one of two things. Are they going to be cash flow positive in the future? If yes, maybe I'll buy now. If that's not the case, why would I want to buy now? Well, Bitcoin's at 90,000 versus 60,000 3 months ago. So maybe these are about to be in profit. Maybe they're about to be cash flow positive. So let me go ahead and position here before the earnings and then let it run up into earnings. That's how these guys think. So my guess is one of those two. Okay. Either way, I would not buy this one. There's other miners that are cheaper that are better deals in my opinion. The buy zone, I'd be looking for about $7.80 to somewhere in $10, about that range. $13.50 to $18 is going to be the targets here. About 130% gain on this one. Right. Actually, I do also want to cover the all-time high, just so you guys know. So you're not unaware, okay? $28 at the all-time high, so about another 2.5x somewhere in there. All right, Hive. Again, I don't know if these earnings actually took place on these dates. This is just what TradingView says. Whether they're accurate or not, I don't know. We don't track the miners super close. We just kind of go on the TA here and the thesis behind the bull run, right, for crypto. So Hive is in no man's land. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive in my opinion. I'd be wanting to buy in this green zone and not touch it in this red zone. Preferably, that's just kind of how we do it as a position trader / swing trader, all that jazz. So pullback, I'd be looking for a 350 to about 390 to potentially start getting in. Targets 580 to 760. 125% gain here. If you're looking for the macro level, I don't know that it gets back to this, but it could always happen. 220 to 270. And yeah, I'm not going to go all the way back. And oh, never mind. Okay. So 2850 here as the all-time high. Of course, that's a pretty good move. I mean, that's a 7x. So it's up to you guys if you want to get into that. Okay, last but not least here, Wulf. So it seems this one just had earnings recently. Maybe the earnings were bad and the forward guidance was good. That could always push the stock up. That does happen sometimes. I will say that this thing has a series of higher highs and higher lows. So, in my opinion, this is in a bull trend. And we did break structure twice. So, it looks good as far as trend is concerned. The only thing I don't like is that we're not above this channel yet. That is a little concerning to me, but based on the way that things look on the chart, I would say it's probably likely going to break out of there at some point, would be my guess. Potential buyback areas here, I'd say about 4.25 to about 5.25, somewhere in there. The target for me personally would be basically right around the structure level, maybe $16 is where I'd be looking to get out. But if you guys are total degens and you think this thing is just going to moonshot and do, 10, 20x, the all-time highs would be at 45. So there is that. And look, I do want to point out one more thing here, okay? There's no guarantee that these things could go back to all-time highs. They could just go to like a percentage of it, like 80, 90% of the way to the all-time highs, and then that would be the top. That could always happen. It could hit all-time highs, and that would be the top, like a double top at the highs from cycle to cycle. I believe I don't remember exactly. I think Mara did this. Yeah, so this is not a perfect double top, but you guys can see a top here in March and then a top in November. Okay. I mean, there's some instances of cryptocurrencies on the market that do this. I don't know exactly. Yeah, see, this one. Okay, yeah, never mind this one. So I'm actually gonna. There is one that I know of that is like this. So you can see here. Okay, Stellar Lumens, for example. This one's been popping off, right? So it had its cycle peak at the exact same price in 2020, 2021, and 2017 for a triple top pattern. It could do something like that. Now, these miners could also go past all-time highs in the event that Trump gets his way and all the Bitcoin, or as much Bitcoin as possible, gets mined in the US. You get the national Bitcoin stockpile. Rates are at all-time lows. Because the U.S. government is buying, 200,000 or a million Bitcoin or whatever over the course of 5 years. All these other countries could FOMO in. That could be extremely bullish for the price of these miners. It could push them past all-time highs. But I mean, you'll just have to come to your own conclusion about how exactly that's going to play out. I'm just throwing out the potential scenarios here for you guys. Okay. All right. So, anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.